I seen the body.
Number 16.
The San Francisco 49ers select Jason Pierre-Paul, linebacker out of USF. JPP is a one-year starter for USF after going the JUCO route earlier in his career. He overshadowed fellow defensive end George Selvey and made himself a ton of money this year. Though San Francisco's pass rush improved a bit this year, they still need a dominant 3-4 outside linebacker who can get into the backfield. JPP could go even higher than 16 when all is said and done, so it's a pretty good pick for the Niners. Huge upside with limited big game experience. We'll see if he can cover, but he is a physical specimen.
Number 17.
The Tennessee Titans select Carlos Dunlap, defensive end out of Florida. Some think Carlos Dunlap is a top 5 pick. Some think he should fall out of the first round altogether. I split the difference and have him going to the Titans at 17. I think the Titans can upgrade over Carson Hayes, making a nice dichotomy with Dunlap and Vandermarsh. Dunlap's motor is questioned, his passion seems to be lacking at times, but when he wants to play, he wrecks opposing teams. High risk, high reward pick, and that's something that Jeff Fisher isn't afraid of. It should be a pretty good fit if Dunlap actually does end up in Tennessee.
Number 18.
The Pittsburgh Steelers select Sean Weatherspoon, linebacker out of Missouri. The Steelers are very interested in Weatherspoon as an inside linebacker in their 3-4 scheme. With James Ferrier's production taking a huge dive, the Steelers need linebacker depth badly. Weatherspoon should add a smart, physical linebacker to the fold who isn't too different from their other inside linebacker, Lawrence Timmons. Solid tackler with great intangibles, Weatherspoon would be a nice fit in the Steel City. He has the toughness and grit needed. If he learns to shed blocks well, he could be a steal at 18 for the Steelers.
Number 19.
The Houston Texans select Taylor Mays, safety at USC. I imagine some team will fall in love with Mays after the Combine and Pro Days, but for now, falling to 19 would be a great fit for the Texans. Though their safety play has improved this season, it's still a hole. Mays provides physicality that the Texans simply don't have in their secondary. He can come up and help in the run with his big hitting ability, but also can protect some of the poor corner play the Texans have had. This is a pass defense that needs upgrading, so going for a physical freak like Mays could result in that. Likewise, he has huge upside, and that could translate into a superstar type potential.
Number 20.
The Atlanta Falcons select Aurelius Ben, wide receiver out of Illinois. Big surprise here. I just don't feel the Falcons will want any of the defensive ends or linebackers available 20. If that happens, maybe they will look for another weapon after a disappointing year by second-year QB Matt Ryan. Tony Gonzalez isn't getting any younger. Michael Jenkins was subpar this season. Ben and Roddy White would be a dynamic duo that couldn't be covered by very many NFL teams. Most don't like Ben because of his lack of production, but try having Juice Williams throwing you the ball. He has size, speed, hands, and vertical ability. There's a fear he could be a bust, but the upside here is incredible.
Number 21.
The Cincinnati Bengals select Jermaine Gresham, tight end out of Oklahoma. Gresham's injury this year has been as big as Bradford's for the Sooners. Gresham was an elite prospect before the injury, possibly a top 15 pick. Now there are worries that a year off with a big knee injury will hurt his NFL future. The fact is, Gresham was never built around speed. He was built on crisp routes and superb physicality. He looks like a running back after the catch. Chase Kaufman's injury and Kaufman not looking like a number 1 tight end, Gresham could be a great pick to upgrade the weapons for the Bengals team that started to struggle in the passing game pretty late in the season and in the playoffs.
Number 22.
The New England Patriots select Donovan Warren, cornerback out of Michigan. Patriots still need linebackers, but there aren't any good ones to take here. Sean Springs likely on his way out, and possibly Lee Bodden too. Pats will need a number 1 corner to pair with Darius Butler. Donovan Warren isn't built on flash and speed, but he is physical. He will jam wide receivers and make tackles against runners. He may need some time to learn the NFL game, but he would fit in New England, and at least they get some type of youth on the defense, even after trading away Richard Seymour and possibly losing Vince Wilfork in this offseason.
Number 23.
The Green Bay Packers select Brian Bulaga, offensive tackle out of Iowa. I think this would be a steal for the Packers. Bulaga's nimble feet and athleticism fit their scheme beautifully. He could definitely even end up as the best offensive tackle in this draft, especially after seeing him dominate Derek Morgan in the Orange Bowl. For most of the season, Packers' big-time QB Aaron Rodgers was eating grass. This is a situation that needs to be upgraded immediately, and they're in solid position to do that. Bulaga just screams zone blocker. Force guys to take bigger angles off the edge, and he uses his hands and feet so well. He looked great staying in the Midwest, right in Wisconsin, with the Packers.
Number 24.
The Philadelphia Eagles select Earl Thomas, safety out of Texas. I love Earl Thomas, seriously, like man crush love. But a sophomore safety just isn't going to get much higher than this despite his ability. He's raw, needs to adjust the NFL game, but Thomas has some physical skills. Deshaun Jones' experiment failing, Quentin McCown on having a good year, whole Eagles safety corps just stinking it up in the playoffs, they need an upgrade here. That upgrade may very well be Earl Thomas.
Number 25.
The Baltimore Ravens select Brandon LaFell, wide receiver out of LSU. The Ravens need help in two places, wide receiver and cornerback. One of those better be addressed in the first round. LaFell's a big, powerful wide receiver who is no doubt the number one senior in this class. Though he struggled at times with his fundamentals, specifically his hands, he does have the potential to be a number one wide receiver. Derek Mason may be retired, Mark Clayton is just terrible. The Ravens need to bail Flacco out somehow, and the best thing to do is to get a guy that can be a future number one wide receiver for this franchise and be sticking around for about 10 years, just like Brandon LaFell.
Number 26.
The Arizona Cardinals select Bruce Campbell, offensive tackle out of Maryland. The Cardinals rarely reach for a player. Bruce Campbell, with his superior athleticism, could be a top 15 pick. If Warner doesn't retire, the Cardinals need to upgrade their offensive line. Left tackle position just isn't where it needs to be, as proven against the Saints. Campbell is inconsistent, but his upside is a top 5 NFL left tackle. I'd take those odds late in the first round. The Cardinals would too, just like they did with Beanie Wells.
Number 27.
The Dallas Cowboys select Trent Williams, offensive tackle out of Oklahoma. Tony Romo spent way too much time on his back against the Vikings. With the poor offensive line depth and the way Mark Colombo let Ray Edwards just crush him, the Cowboys need something. Whether it be a stud right tackle, removing Flozell Adams, and having Williams take a shot at left tackle, he can help that Cowboys offense sustain. The boys are extremely talented. They may make another run next year, and there's not much else needed. So I think this is a great value pick, and it's a bit of a need. And Trent Williams is a guy that could go top 15, top 16 in this draft, so it would be a steal this late.
Number 28.
The San Diego Chargers select Damian Williams, wide receiver out of USC. A.J. Smith loves big, physical wide receivers. Williams is as close as he will get with LaFell being gone. The Buster Davis experiment is done, and Chris Chambers has moved on. I love Malcolm Floyd, but he isn't a number 2 wide receiver. Putting Williams and Jackson together creates a whole new level for defenses to defend. Williams is big, can beat jams, and uses his body well to catch passes. Some are worried he'll fall the same way the other USC wide receivers have, but hey, he's a different player. Battle for late first/early second round receivers will be interesting. Heck, Chargers may even go for Denario Alexander.
Number 29.
The New York Jets select Terrence Cody, defensive tackle out of Alabama. When Chris Jenkins went down, many thought it would wreck the best defense in the league. Though it didn't, having some depth at nose tackle would be great. Jenkins may not be around a whole lot longer with his injury history, so Mount Cody could eat up blockers for the pass rush. The Rex Ryan doesn't need the big body in the middle. I think it would be an upgrade. Heck, maybe he could even move Jenkins to defensive end like he did with Lodi Nile.
Number 30.
The Minnesota Vikings select Mike Iupati, offensive guard out of Idaho. Steve Hutchinson's plays fell off, just watching against the 49ers. And Anthony Herrera could be upgraded. Offensive guards don't go very high in the draft, and though Iupati, along with UMass's Vlad Dukas, are amazing prospects, they are late first, early second round guys. Iupati could add to his stock at the Senior Bowl, but he's dominated it at every level so far. Protecting their investment at quarterback and running back would be great for the Vikings, and this interior alignment will help that offensive cog running. If Brett Favre comes back, he's going to need a little bit more protection and more time in the pocket, and Iupati could be a guy that increases that chance.
Number 31.
The New Orleans Saints select Dan Williams, defensive tackle out of Tennessee. Dan Williams is that first-round D-tackle who doesn't wow anyone, but will play in this league as a starter for about 12 years. Saints could use linebacker upgrade, but value isn't here. So if they want to pump up their run D and free Cedric Ellis to get to the QB, Williams would be a great addition. He's very consistent and does a lot of things well. He's not going to be flashy, but he's a guy that New Orleans needs to upgrade their defense and do better in the future.
Number 32.
The Indianapolis Colts select Greg Hardy, defensive end out of Ole Miss. With Raheem Brock and Robert Morris possibly out of town, the Colts will need to bring in a new pass rusher. They may risk it with defensive end Greg Hardy, an injury risk whose production is phenomenal. Every game he plays in, Hardy gets into the backfield and gives the other teams fits. His major issue? He can't stay on the field. Like teammate Powerade Jerry last year, Hardy could fall due to this, maybe even out of the first round. Bill Polian may take the chance late here of finding another superb pass rusher, even as the Indianapolis Colts are a playoff team and don't have great value in the first round. Greg Hardy could definitely be it.